Church in Dallas, Texas, please welcome one of the great moral guides of our time, the Reverend Dr. Frederick Douglass Haynes III.
Of conscious compassion, the queen of conscious compassion, the incomparable, the elegant Susan Taylor is now recruiting soldiers of love, because Susan Taylor has dared to declare war on impoverishment. She has dared to declare that we must take a stand for our future. The queen of compassion and consciousness, Susan Taylor, in declaring this war, is now recruiting each and every one of you, just as she has done these amazing soldiers of love who grace the stage. Will you be a soldier of love, especially in this atmosphere infected by so much hate? A soldier of love recognizes that love is caring, love is careful, and love knows how to take care of. Love gives and forgives, and that is what we need. In this atmosphere of hate, where many are finding themselves enslaved by impoverishment, the queen of consciousness, Susan Taylor, says it's time to recruit soldiers of love. You do recognize the atmosphere we are in. There are poets from the streets who sagaciously portray the plight and predicament of the impoverished. Of course, you recognize the brilliance of, Lauryn Hill, who speaks of black rage is founded on blatant denial, squeezed economics, subsistence survival, deafening silence, and social control. Black rage is founded on wounds on the soul of those who are enslaved by impoverishment. I think Jay-Z would put it like this, since we're in New York. He would say, we ain't doing crimes for the sake of doing crime. We moving dimes because we ain't doing fine. Wounds on the soul, ain't doing fine. That's what it's like. And then therefore, we need soldiers of love who will rise to the occasion in the tradition of our ancestors. Is it not providential and poetic that on this day, some years ago, Nelson Mandela strode out of prison, dignified, unembittered, armed with love, to inaugurate a new era right there in South Africa? We need soldiers of love. Soldiers of love in the tradition of the silver-tongued orator of the abolitionist movement, Frederick Douglass, who gives us our strategy. For Frederick Douglass says it is much better to build strong children than repair broken adults. We need soldiers of love. Soldiers of love who recognize the wisdom and are armed with the inspiring example of the wonderful sister who we lift up on so many occasions as the brilliant actress that she is, because this dear sister found herself dirt poor and burdened with impoverishment. But one day she's watching television and she sees Cicely Tyson, and that fired her imagination with inspiration, and before you know it, she incarnated the brilliance of Carter G. Woodson, who suggested that we become what we behold. How can you see it? How can you be it if you never see it? We need soldiers of love, and so we recruit you as soldiers of love to finally remember that we are to be armed with the spirit of Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman, why? Because today they have the unmitigated gall to go back and forth. Scholars are arguing over how many times she went back after she self-emancipated herself from the brutality of dehumanizing slavery in these disunited states of America. But check out, I don't care how many times she went back, the bottom line is she went back. And what we we are saying is that we as soldiers of love must have the Harriet Tubman spirit and have the sense to go back to communities that are underserved, have the sense to go back to communities that too often identify with Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. It's like a jungle. Sometimes it makes me wonder how I keep from going under. And then they say, don't push me because I'm close to the... Y'all got that, don't you? I'm trying not to lose my head. We have to have the spirit of Harriet Tubman and go back. And when soldiers of love recognize the power of mentoring, who knows what will happen? Who knows? You may provide the Benjamin Elijah Mays, whose brilliance and example ignite and fire up a young drum major for justice who becomes Martin Luther King Jr. Who knows? God may use you as a mentor to create an environment where Martin Luther King Jr. will say, I can't stop right here. I've got to pass on my prophetic baton and give it to Reverend Jesse Jackson, who says to all of us that the blessed of us have a responsibility to help the rest of us. Who knows? God may use you in a real sense to be that Frederick G. Sampson, whose brilliance and anointing and scholarship inspired one Michael Eric Dyson. Who knows? If God uses you as a mentor, you may touch the life of someone who opens the door to a new era as you write your signature on the future, to use the language of William Shakespeare. Yes, I wrap it like this. Susan Taylor, the queen of consciousness, she is saying to all of us, attention, because she's declaring war. Is that not what a sergeant does? A sergeant, I'm Susan Sargent right now, and I'm simply saying to all of you soldiers, attention, attention, because we must recognize our responsibility to provide mentors so that when young people see them, they can become them. I am saying attention in the spirit of Susan Taylor. Why? Because like Harriet Tubman, we've got to go back. Attention in the spirit of Frederick Douglass, because we have to build strong young people and not repair older people. Attention. And once I have your attention, there's only one thing left for me to say: forward march.